For those of you listening on the pod,
Welcome into hour two, Tim. We're going to kick off hour two with the real stuff here. All right, the real stuff. And by the way, you could tell that there's a live game going on because now we're getting hit with spam bots in here. That's the way that works. So
I know, man. Get the rocket launcher ready, man. Let's go.
yeah, you got Washington and Cincinnati just kicked off is why. So anyway, let's do some kicker talk, Tim. Bang. Brandon McManus in the rain today, Tim. In the rain. Hit from 33, hit from 44, hit from 45, hit from 46, hit from 47, and hit from 49. Did not miss a kick all day. He's now 64 of 67 during live periods in camp. Oh, by the way, Tim, they said he was out there punting a little bit today, too. That's a true story.
And you wonder why I call him Brandon McMoney McManus. This guy is just a machine. And, oh, yeah, by the way, why not? Why not give us a backup option as a emergency punter if we need? I absolutely love it. I forgot if it was Wes Hawkowitz. Somebody tweeted earlier about that. Like, oh, he just, got bored of draining all these field goals and decided, maybe I'll see if I can punt, It's like the guy's just good at what he does, and it's a blessing to have him here. And I'm glad they extended him, and, we don't have to worry about place kicking for at least the immediate future for sure.
Yeah, maybe he's about to bridge the gap to that drop kick. You remember the old school drop kick?
Yeah.
Goes? Maybe he's about to pull that out of the bag.
Remember Tommy Brady did one in a game once. I remember that.
Yeah, I remember. Who was it? It was for the Patriots. I don't know if it was Tom Brady, but it was Doug Flutie. Doug Flutie.
Oh yeah, before that, Flutie did one too. Yeah.
Yeah, Flutie was he was a lot of fun to watch for sure. So, Coach Lynn laughing at us because we got kicker talk. All right, we'll wrap it up, Coach. Sorry. So let's move it along here. Rasheed Walker, this was pretty funny. You guys know Anthony Belton kind of lost his mind in that preseason game the other day. If you'll remember, with all the penalties, the clip of him getting the personal foul out of bounds, Tim, I got to be honest with you, I didn't mind it. It was preseason, and I kind of enjoyed it. It was just like, it reminded me of Josh Sitton. Josh Sitton was one of those just absolute wildcats that, hey, you got to kind of harness him a little bit. And hearing the stories of the pranks and stuff that he, had in the locker room and just how straightforward he was the one who coined the phrase, or at least in the Packers locker room, said if you want to know what it's like to switch sides of the offensive line and block, go home and wipe your rear end with the opposite hand. That's our boy Josh Sitton. But Belton, I seen that personal foul and I went, kind of reminds me of Sitton right there. I like it. So with that being said, you can't have 5 penalties in the game. Now you have 5 penalties in the half. And then he cleaned it up in the second half. Well, as you can see here, John Miller from NBC 26 says Packers left tackle Rasheed Walker. He was basically talking about Anthony Belton, who had the 5 penalties. And listen what Rasheed had to say in terms of advice and how he helped our boy Anthony Belton there in the second half.
Everybody was saying something to him. I feel like he got the message. I think I just gave him a snack. So, kind of clear his mind, just throw him a snack.
What was the snack?
Clementine. I got a piece of my Clementine. Like, man, just eat this Clementine, man. Just refocus. It's all good. And that's when he had a good second half.
So Tim, the reason I'm showing this, first of all, pretty good laugh, right? Got to get a little pop out of the reporters there. I say we, I don't want to put words in your mouth. I know I mentioned it last night. I'm a little concerned, like, is Rasheed in a bad place? Like he's maybe a disgruntled. We know he got threw off the practice field, or he was forced to run a lap at that practice, this and that. Seemed like he's in a pretty good place right there. And it kind of comes across as one of those locker room guys where it's like, yeah, that's the dude when the bullets are flying, so to speak. You want somebody like that to kind of, hey, bring it. Joe Montana, Super Bowl, right? Everybody, they're getting ready to go down and get the game-winning drive for the 49ers back in the whatever it was, 80s, early 90s, whenever it was. And they said that everybody's like, kind of quiet in the huddle. And he looks over and goes, is that John Candy? John Candy was up in the stands. He's like, is that John Candy? And everybody was just like, this dude is all right. We're good, man. Let's go out.
Cool Joe, right? Yeah, you have to be. And you spoke about she'd being made to run the lap. That was the day that Rob Westerman was gracious enough to give me a sideline pass, and it happened right in front of us. We watched that happen. Kind of a galvanizing moment on that practice field because we saw a lot of teammates run that lap with him. Now you fast forward to what we're seeing now. I wonder if that's where that came from. Like, hey man, chill out. Let's maybe if someone got a hold of Sheed a little sooner in that practice, and had a conversation like that with him, maybe he's not running a lap in the first place, right? So maybe that was a leadership moment here. I think it's Rasheed Walker learning from experience that he dealt with when he was frustrated and doing a little extra at practice and a rep. Now he's seeing a rookie do it in a game. Hey man, let's chill out, right? It's good leadership. I think it kind of puts that your mind to rest a little bit, Clayton, like you said, because we were just having that conversation, yesterday or the day before, that we weren't kind of sure where Sheed's head was at. Did he want to be here? Is he disgruntled or not? You look at this clip, he doesn't seem disgruntled to me at all.
Yeah. Greg Rice says we need that sound bite too. I agree. Stacey Mitchell says, I love it. I just gave him a snack. That's the one we need. I just gave him a snack. We got to have that. So for sure. So again, why am I bringing that up? Because I think that stuff's important, man. To kind of, it was just good to see Rasheed Walker in a good place there. And again, I think as it sits right now, Tim, he's going to be our starting left tackle. I believe that right now. That could change in the next week or so, right? But as it sits right now, that's the direction I would go. And then have Jordan Morgan ready to plug into left tackle next year when Rasheed Walker hits the market. I just don't know if there's enough place within the structure of how you want to model your roster for Rasheed to be on this team next year as well. But if you guys go over to our Patreon page, I put a minute 30 together of just clips from the Colts game there of Jordan Morgan and both pass blocking and run blocking. You guys want to go check it out. So I did a little write-up here, and you can check that out. Patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. And I've been adding to it a little bit as the week went along here, Tim. So just a quick refresher. Love that Rasheed, love that soundbite. And again, I think Rasheed Walker is a great pass blocker. I think his weak spot is run blocking. It's not that he's horrible at run blocking. It's just, that's the part of his game he needs to improve. And it seems like he's not improved it, in my opinion, like to where if he figures that out, he's going to be an all-pro tackle because he's that good at pass blocking, right? Yep. So I don't want people to take that the wrong way. However, this is just preseason. But Jordan Morgan against the starters there in Indy, right? Last week, or this past week, I should say, 88.2 pass blocking grade, right? So in 2 weeks of the preseason, 76.5, 74.6 overall PFF offensive grades. Pass blocking, 88, 88.2. The run blocking grabs my attention big time with a 66.9 and a 64.9 in those two games. 0 penalties, right? And then our buddy Baz put this tweet out I wanted to mention. Jordan Morgan stacking success at left tackle this preseason. Tim, he's got 61 snaps. He's given up 0 pressures, 0 sacks, 0 hits, 0 hurries, and 0 penalties. This is against starting defenders on the Jets and Colts. Have you? So
sounds like a guy that I wouldn't mind watching my 6. I don't know how you feel, Clay. And look at that profile pic too. What's not to love about that? Does that look like a guy who can't block? I mean, my goodness, that's a get off the bus guy, right? Like you say, Clayton.
Yeah, 6'6", 320.
Yeah, man. Let's go. Hey, anytime Jordan Morgan wants to, go out for a daddy soda or something, I'm buying for sure.
You sure you can afford that, Tim? You got good credit?
Hey, I got okay credit.
There you go. Coach Lynn in the chat said Morgan has answered the bell. And that's what it comes down to, right, Coach? It's like everything he's asked to do, the guy's done it. He's done it. And, if you want to argue, well, he hasn't looked good at guard, I agree. But he played left tackle all through college. He played left tackle all through high school. Like, that's his position, right? He kicks over to left tackle. And what did I tell you the other day, Tim? I think I put a tweet out and I said he shows patience. He doesn't panic. He's got great footwork, right? Well,
and you were talking about the hand technique too, setting that right arm almost to help with his base and his, mobility.
Yeah. You can just tell it's not new to him. Obviously it isn't. We all know that, but he's just like, wow, he looks extremely comfortable. Well, hearing Mark Tauscher talk about it, I think it was today. And what did he say? He didn't say patience, but what was the word he used? He used a specific word, but he basically picked up on the same thing. There's no panic at all. And he talked about how smooth he was in the transition of passing off those stunts, right? We showed where he passed off the end to the guard, kicked over and got the tackle off the stunt. Then we showed another clip where the end crashes in. He gets a quick punch on him, recognizes, just in a split second, they're blitzing a corner off the edge, pops back out, picks up the cat, washes him right around the quarterback. It's like, damn. And Rasheed Walker's a great pass blocker. And I know this is just 2 preseason games, but you see it now. You see what's going on there with the whole the coaches going, yeah, let's open up a competition. Again, as it sits right now, I want to be very clear. I would choose Rasheed to play left tackle and have Jordan Morgan play right guard. That would be my pick, okay? However, as we always say, Tim, sometimes injuries sort this thing out for us, right? 2 things. If Rasheed Walker is indeed hurt and it's significant and maybe he can't start the season as a starter, Jordan Morgan's going to kick in the left tackle. Well, if Jordan Morgan or if Rasheed Walker's good to go at left tackle, and God forbid Aaron Banks' back is bothering him to where he can't start week 1, you could put Jordan Morgan at left guard, and that's way more comfortable for him on the left side as opposed to right guard. So if that were the case, and let's just say, and I hope this doesn't happen, I have no reason to believe it will happen. I think it's all precautionary. But if Aaron Banks isn't starting week 1, and you got Rasheed Walker, Jordan Morgan, Elton Jenkins, and then at right guard, Sean Ryan, right tackle, Zach Tom, Anthony Belton as the backup swing tackle or what have you, I feel pretty darn good about that, man. I really, really do.
I agree with that. I mean, my head's spinning through that as you're saying that. It's like there's even a scenario if, we have to kick Sean Ryan to center and Big E back to left guard or whatever. You don't necessarily feel like you're reinventing the wheel. These guys are familiar and have played in those spots. And then you couple that with the progress that we're seeing from Jordan Morgan. I agree, man. I feel good about our O-line. And I think Big Escalade's going to get it together. Like you said, he's got a role on this team. I believe that. Whether that's a backup or a swing tackle, whatever, however you want to look at it. He's going to play his way through these learning experiences and probably really progress really nicely. But yeah, I think the one outlier would be what if Rasheed Walker is a go and he plays awesome like he did the last couple of seasons for us, and he steps it up in the run blocking. And now all of a sudden we've got to have this conversation because now we can't, look at the downside of Sheed, being a little bit subpar when it comes to the run blocking, at least grading out according to PFF. But I think it's writings on the wall. Jordan Morgan is probably the long-term plan at left tackle, right?
Yeah, I think he definitely is. I really do. And again, it's no knock on Sheed, but I think the way the Packers are looking at it is, hey, look, Jordan Morgan will be our left tackle of the future. You got him on the rookie contract, albeit a first-round contract, but still it's pennies on the dollar for what top tackles are making. If he goes out there and proves he's a top 32 tackle or, let's say a top 20 left tackle, man, it's money well spent. You let Rasheed hit the market. He'll get paid pretty handsomely. You'll most likely get a comp pick out of him, potentially a 3rd-round pick. So it essentially turns into a trade, right? Now, if there's a chance that teams are interested in Rasheed Walker, you could try to get a little cute, hit him with the franchise tag, and then trade him, that type of thing to get better compensation. I just don't know if teams will go for that, knowing that, okay, the Packers aren't going to keep him on the roster for a franchise tag. You know what I mean? Just feels that way. I could be wrong. They could announce a deal tomorrow that Rasheed Walker's got an extension for $10 million per. I wouldn't be opposed to that. I'm just saying you can't pay him over $20 million when you're already paying Elton Jenkins, you're already paying Jordan Morgan, you're already paying Zach Tom, or not Jordan Morgan, but Elton Jenkins, Zach Tom. Those are your 2 that are already getting paid, pretty handsomely, along with Aaron Banks. Okay, so now if your plan is to move on from Elton Jenkins next year, you could re-sign Rasheed this year for $20 million per. Move on from Elton next year. Now you got to find your center, whether that's Zach Tom or you want to re-sign Sean Ryan to a decent deal. That's obviously well below top money. That could be the case as well. So, but yeah, I agree, Coach. I think he has answered the bell, man. I think he's done everything we've asked him to do. So, with that being said, listen, it's important to have good blocking up front, Tim. And I know people are kind of aggravated with the whole Marshawn Lloyd situation, right? I'm not overly concerned about the Marshawn Lloyd thing. And the main reason is because of Emmanuel Wilson. Listen, I'm excited about Lloyd and to see what he can do when he's healthy. Don't get me wrong. He's probably going to start on IR where you got to wait at least 4 weeks before you activate him. That's kind of the feeling I'm getting. But I think we've got one of, if not the best backup running backs in the league. Look at this that went out from Carson Fowler. He posted a sideline or an end zone angle of this Emmanuel Wilson run from the preseason game the other day. Watch this physicality here from our boy Emmanuel Wilson. Look at this, guys. Watch him. He's going to give him a little hezzy and bang.
Bang.
Oh, dude. Let's go. And that's not the first time he has done that, man. That dude, I'm so excited to see him and Josh Jacobs in year 2 together. And again, his big weak spot was exactly what you've seen right here, catching the ball out of the backfield, right?
Yeah.
And just absolute truck stick there. I can't loop it for too long, but I want to get your take on this, man. Because again, we want an awesome offensive line, don't get me wrong, but this right here, this is going to help that offensive line more than they could imagine, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And to that point too, like I remember Emmanuel Wilson kind of struggling with pass pro and picking up the blocks sometimes too, as a rookie, and he's improved that drastically. And catching this ball out of the backfield, you love to see the yak yards, right? Kind of reminds me of a little bit of Tucker Kraft here, not being afraid to just lower the boom on the sideline. You love to see it, man. And of course, he gets up like nothing happened, right? I just love it.
I love what Coach Lynn says here, too. I love the burst after the catch. Watch this defender right here completely misjudge the speed and the burst right there, So, love it, man.
I also respect the fact that he didn't try to cut back in, which a lot of backs have a tendency to do when they're running up the sideline. You try to cut it back in towards the middle, and you don't necessarily pick up extra yards, and sometimes you get blown up and cough up the football. So great ball security there too in that clip of E. Wilson.
I believe there are several teams in the league, that Emmanuel Wilson will be running back one on.
Oh yeah.
I think that's not a hot take at all. I really do.
Sure.
So, completely agree though, Coach, the burst after the catch there. All right, Tim, let's shift gears from offensive line and a little Emmanuel Wilson talk to defense. I know you're excited about this. We had a couple plays earlier today in camp practice I just wanted to highlight. Ryan Wood said Evan Williams closes practice cutting in front of Tucker Kraft in the end zone to intercept Jordan Love behind the defense. Jeff Hafley raises his arms in triumph over gesturing his satisfaction to the Packers offense. So rubbing it in a little bit on the floor there, Jeff Hafley is. But Evan Williams obviously having another good camp. We seen this last year. I think Evan Williams is going to be one of those players, Tim, that he has the potential to be a great player, but he's already very good. And I really think that the more time he spends with Xavier McKinney in that back, in the back of the defense or the back line, whatever you want to call it, in the safety room, I think this dude could go on to be, when we're ready to move on from Xavier McKinney, just the attitude that Evan Williams has, let's say 3-4 years down the road, if we decide, you know what, McKinney's best football is behind him, let's move on from him, get another young whippersnapper in here, and you got Evan Williams ready to kind of lead the charge in that safety room, man, I think he's going to be a great player, man. Right now, very good, potential to be great, and who knows, man, maybe all pro level.
Absolutely. He's building on that stellar rookie season, right? He's continued to do it. I mean, he shocked a lot of us. We were all happy with the draft pick, obviously. We saw the tape at Oregon, right? Yep. But, I mean, I don't think any of us were expecting him to be, it's kind of like we were talking about Matt Golden, right? Just look polished as a rookie. Made a few mistakes, was a little raw at times, but developed really nicely. And now I totally agree with that sentiment, Clayton, that, if we are at the point where we need to make a change and it's time to move on, maybe Evan Williams is your guy. That's who slides into that captain of the back end of that defense kind of role. He's certainly built for it, and you see it out there on the field. I just really another great pick by Goody and developing really nicely. So shout out to all you Goot haters out there.
Mm-hmm. No doubt, man. He nailed this. I mean, he revamped the safety room in one off season.
Yep.
It's wild to think about. And again, I always laugh and say, man, oh man, somewhere Joe Barry madder than hell going, boy, if I'd have had this safety room, I think I'd still be in Green Bay. I believe that. And if you don't believe me, then if you disagree with that sentiment, then I'm going to ask you a question. Which would you rather march out there as your starting safeties? Xavier McKinney and Evan Williams, or would you rather have Jonathan Owens and Darnell Savage. My God. Like, that's why I have a little bit of grace towards, the other thing too, we replaced Devondre Campbell with our boy Edgerrin Cooper. It's like, God, and I don't believe it was the scheme that made these guys great. I think these are great football players. I really, really believe that. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. Cheese Mode Activated said earlier, good to see Bullard making plays this week. And I had marked that earlier, Tim, because, obviously our boy Evan Williams making plays, but Javon Bullard also made that play that we talked about earlier. I want to wrap back around with it and wrap up the show with it because Jordan Love goes deep middle to McCole Hardman at 7-on-7, and Javon Bullard picks it. So it kind of made me think the fact that Nate Hobbs is out right now, right? Nate Hobbs is out, but McKinney's out as well. He didn't specify if Bullard was playing safety or not. I imagine he was playing safety, and it would have been one of those things that you're probably in a cover 3 or cover 6, something like that, and Bullard gets in there and gets the interception. So I'm not as hard on interceptions in training camp practice because the guys are taught, hey, push the envelope. Let's see what we can get, right? To me, it's a more of a testament when the defense picks a pass off in training camp as opposed to a quarterback being a bad decision maker, if that makes sense. Because that's the time you want to test. So.
Exactly, because I saw a couple other posts about the same play, and it just sailed on him, I guess, right? Is this the one? It was like an overthrow, and then
I think so.
Bull was right there and just picked it off. But either way, it's not a knock on Javon Bullard. I'm all for any highlights that have, him and coverage involved in it, right? We talked about him taking that step in his coverage skills, and I don't care if a ball was slightly overthrown or tipped. I mean, if you're making the play, that's all that matters, right? You love to see it.
And you love to see it, Tim, because Bullard's strength is, in my opinion, every player's got their niche, right? They've got their superpower, if you will. Or maybe that's, exaggerating a little bit for all players, but there's something that, hey, that's what they do really well. And as a coach, without being predictable, you want to put them in a position as consistently as possible to do what they do well. To me, Bullard, it's slot, playing the run, attacking bubble screens, attacking smoke screens, kind of playing in the box, so to speak, as a slot defender and attacking the underneath stuff. Not being out in space and trying to read the 2 to the 3. All right, in this match set, I got to take the corner, or I've got to let the crosser go and pick up the 1 on the dig, all that stuff, right? It's more playing closer to the ball, helping with the run fit, attacking the screens underneath, what he does well. That's why it's nice to see him get a deep middle interception here, because that's something that he's not done, relatively well. So,
exactly.
But I'm with you, Cheese Mode Activated. It is good to see Bullard making plays for sure. And then one last thing to hit here. Anything else you got on Xavier McKinney and Javon Bullard? Anything at all, Tim, that you want to add?
I did see a comment here. I don't know if you want to – let's bring up J. Cole here. Let McKinney retire a Packer. I 100% agree with that. I'm sure Clayton does too.
Yes.
I think all your point was in bringing that up was, look at what we just dealt with Jair. I don't think, any of us fans really wanted him gone. I mean, I'm sure there was a lot of Ja haters in the fan base that were sick of the injuries or whatever, but sometimes you play this game and you get a long, illustrious career. Sometimes you get 5 good seasons and it's time to hang it up. I think the only thing that would, prevent McKinney from retiring as a Packer would be something like that. And I don't see that happening. So what do you think, Clay? I mean, I'm with J. Cole, man. I say keep him, I don't think he's a guy that's going to push the envelope when it comes to signing another contract either. I don't think he's going to get overly greedy. I think as long as you come with a respectable offer, he'd probably sign, right?
Yeah. So with I love too old for this comment there. We'll get to it in a minute, maybe. But J. Cole, let McKinney retire Packer. Here's the thing that I always run this through the filter of, Jay, is if you're telling me let McKinney retire a Packer playing at the level he's playing right now, absolutely. If he's still playing at this level in 4 years, you give him a contract extension. So please don't take that the wrong way, what I said earlier. I'm simply saying that as he gets through his contract to year 4 and he's 30 years old or older, I'm not sure. How old is he right now? Somebody help me in the chat. How old is Xavier McKinney right now? Because he's got 3 years left on his deal.
I think he's 27 or 28, right?
So it's going to be right around
that. Don't quote me on that. Somebody help us out.
I think he turned 27. If not, he's 26. He's 29 right now. That can't be right. No,
That's his jersey number. That's not his age, right?
That is true. He is 20. That's correct. 27, Drew. Thank you. And Bates, too. Appreciate you guys. So he's 27 years old. So he's going to be turning 30 as his contract expires. Now, two things. First of all, do we think his play is going to fall off as he hits 30? Historically speaking, right, we would have to all agree a large majority of NFL players do drop off at the age of 30, right around that mark, okay? So if he's still playing at a high level, now you got to make the decision. Do you extend him knowing that any day now his play could drop off and now you're on the hook for that money, right? Yep. Now, it depends on the structure of the contract as well. Now, let's say they draft another Evan Williams top in the next year or two, and you go, wow, we got to get this guy on the field. And Evan Williams continues to progress. You could see how they're going to be able to save money by letting McKinney walk in 4 years, 3 years, whatever it is, and moving on to the next thing.
Yep.
Right?
Because it's a business, right? At this level, it's a business, and you got to make those decisions.
So, again, I want to be very clear. If he's playing at the level he's playing right now, I would love to have him back, on another contract in 3 years. But if he takes a slight step back as he's approaching that final year of the contract, the writing's on the wall. Here's the other thing, Tim, precedent, right? Precedent. Yeah. So what have we done in the past? Guys, you guys remember a guy by the name of Charles Woodson?
Yeah.
Pro Football Hall of Famer. We let him walk. You guys remember that, right?
Yep.
And what did he do? He went to Oakland at the time.
The Raiders.
And he played damn good football as a safety for Oakland. I want to say he made the Pro Bowl that year. I'm pretty sure he might. I don't know if he's all pro, but I think he went to the Pro Bowl, so he had a good year. But then after that, what happened? That's a Hall of Famer. So I don't think anyone is sitting here saying that Xavier McKinney, based off what we've seen so far in his career and what we've seen of Charles Woodson's career, that Xavier McKinney is on the same level as Charles Woodson when they were both in their prime. And I understand Charles Woodson, when we went to our nickel in Dom Capers' 34 zone fire blitz, scheme, he would play the star. He would play the nickel, right? And then he would kick back to safety sometimes when we play the base. Most of the time, he'd just go to the outside as a corner, though. So with that being said, we got rid of – I think somebody said it right there. Let's see. Mark O'Day, oh, yeah, 1 year too early for Woodson. Definitely. But, again, Mark, right, this is the precedent in Green Bay, whether it was Ted Thompson and now Brian Gutekunst. You let guys – you're willing to part ways 1 year too early rather than 1 year too late. So the precedent is there. If you've got the pieces in place to replace him when you get to that point, great. But if he's still playing good football, I'm all about keeping him around. I just that's and he's – you're talking about an outstanding individual too, Tim. This dude's a leader. I don't want to say a quiet leader, but he's one of those guys that's like, he's not going to run around and try to rah-rah the guys in a fake way and turn 2 or 3 people off in the locker room or piss a coach off, right? Which Woodson did, by the way. Woodson came in, and him and Mike McCarthy almost came to blows at first training camp. McCarthy had to kick him out of practice because he didn't want to be in Green Bay. That's a true story. And obviously that later on it worked out just fine. But I mention all this because we talked about Evan Williams having another good camp. We talked about Bullard making some plays here or there, although we see him as a slot more than a safety. He'll he'll be our third safety on the depth chart, essentially, is what it sounds like. So Xavier McKinney, it sounds like he came in here on the NFL top 100 players of 2025 as the 30th best player, Tim. So in 2024, McKinney recorded 8 interceptions without allowing a single touchdown as the nearest defender in coverage. That is the most by any safety in a season since at least 2016. So what he's doing right now, I would love to see how many safeties rank ahead of him, obviously, as the list wraps up.
Yeah.
We'll find out, but yeah, I'm so glad he's a Packer for at least the next 3 years. Who knows, man? Maybe longer.
He was the best guy around.
I'm with it, man. Absolutely. And I know what you mean about the leadership attributes too, right? And he seems pretty mature for a 27-year-old, right? Just generally speaking. I've seen it at camp, even when he was, not suited up and not running out there. He was talking to Coach Downer. He was, working the sideline, talking to Javon Bullard, talking to Evan Williams, fully engaged all the time. That's leadership, 100% of the time that you're, on that field in a uniform, whether you're playing or not, you find a way to contribute. And I think X does that both on and off the field, and that's what makes him a great leader. But, the tail of the tape doesn't lie. One could even argue 30 might be a little low for him. One might argue he'd be a top 25, maybe top 20 player in this league. But to see him inside this list is great. And I love your point, too. Like, it'll be interesting to see who's listed higher than him when it comes to safety players, on this list.
I imagine Kyle Hamilton will.
Sure.
He's obviously a solid. We could pull up PFF and probably pick them out. We could probably find the ones that are going to be higher than McKinney. But again, man, McKinney, what he did to this defense and helping Jeff Hafley in his first year, and Hafley helping him too. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't just all the players, right? Hafley's a great defensive mind. So glad he's here for the time being. So not so cool in the chat says Woodson should have retired a Packer though. Here's the thing about that.
He was always a Raider, right, Clay?
And that's the thing. He wanted to go back to the Raiders. Now he wanted to stay in Green Bay too. Don't get me wrong. It's my understanding, Tim, that we didn't even offer him a contract. We were just like, we're just going to move on. That he would have probably played for less, but we're going to move on. Again, I'm not saying I would have done it that way. I'm just simply saying from precedent standards. That's why I'm mentioning this with McKinney because obviously you're willing to cut ties with Charles Woodson and another one too, Jordy Nelson, right?
Yeah.
Jordy Nelson, and they nailed it, guys. Listen, the people that were critical of Brian Gutekunst coming in his first year and kind of cleaning the slate and, all right, Jordy, you're out of here. This player's out of here. Got rid of – I think was he the one who got rid of Charles, or was that around the same time?
Oh, don't quote me on that. Or was that Ted Thompson? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah. Anyway.
Who made that decision? It might have been Ted.
But when they let go of Jordy, many people don't know this. They didn't even offer Jordy a contract. I want to say it was a minimum is what it was. I think Aaron spilled the beans on that. Was they just offered him a minimum contract, and he would have stayed for a lot less, right? Yep. And again, so it looks. J. Cole says Ted Thompson. If that's correct, yeah, everybody's saying Ted. So here's the thing with that though, and I know you guys aren't saying this, but typically the argument is, well, that's not Ted. This is Brian Gutekunst. That's not Ted Thompson, guys. Brian Gutekunst's mentor was Ted Thompson.
Yeah.
Just like when we would say, oh, it's Ted Thompson, it's not Ron Wolf. Ted Thompson came up through the Ron Wolf school, right? Like these are all guys from the same tree. Now they do things maybe a little bit different. Immediately people will say, well, Goody's more aggressive in free agency than Ted Thompson. I don't agree with that. I remember that first year when he went out and got Ryan Pickett. I remember when he went out and got you remember when he got Julius Peppers just overnight? It didn't even get reported. All of a sudden, there was pictures being posted of Julius Peppers in Lambeau Field looking around. I was like, what? We just got Julius Peppers? Like, he went out and made some free agent signings, right? So maybe Goody is a little more willing to go into free agency than Ted, but it's not much in my opinion because he pulled some strings there, man, with some of those free agent signings coming down the stretch to get the Packers over the hump. To obviously, we just talked Charles Woods. Ted Thompson signed Charles Woods, right, in free agency. So, yeah,
it's so true. I mean, if you look at especially in the front offices around this league, that they tend to promote from within, right? You're not going to have a guy, basically be an understudy to a GM and not seriously consider him to be the replacement when it's time to make a decision, right? We see it with coaching staffs all the time. Coaching trees, we talk about it all the time. So it's not that uncommon. And I don't know. It's kind of cool when you really look back and think at it because, we got a Super Bowl in the Ted Thompson era. And I'm pretty sure we're going to get a Lombardi in the Brian Gutekunst era too. So I'm happy with it.
Yeah. Respect Orange says Tay was there to replace Jordy, but they should have found someone to replace Tay. The thing about the Davante Adams things is tough because they tried to play hardball with Davante Adams, and they thought, okay, let's lowball him, and they came in, what was it like? I want to say it was below $20 million per, and pissed Tay off, and Tay was like, well, I'm not re-signing. And I think they thought, Tim, we'll franchise tag him, we'll work the deal out. So they end up offering him more money than what he got with the Raiders, but at that time, Tay was mad. Tay was like, I'm out. I'm done, you know. So they really never did get a chance to replace him. Like they said, Tay was there to replace Jordy, but they never found a replacement for Tay. It's a great point. Respect Oranges. I think that's a very, very fair point. A couple other here in the chat I want to hit on. Not So Cool says, that's true. Donovan Devontae should have retired a Packer. I agree. I somewhat agree with it, but you know, it's one of those things. They offered him the contract, Tim, so they thought it was worth it, you know, to pay more than the Raiders. But this is what Aaron was talking about, and it's why it got so toxic with the fan base, and fans, you know, got mad when you point this out. That this is what Aaron was talking about, is like them mistreating the older players on their way out. I think it's true. I think it's true to a certain extent. You've seen it with Devontae firsthand that, hey, they lowballed him, ticked him off. They basically hit, in Devontae's words, and I did a show on this when I first started podcasting. Devontae's words were, they told me, let's go out and prove it one more year. And Devontae's like, after everything I've done, you're going to make me prove it one more year? No, I'm done. So I can understand his standpoint, but I can also see the Packers standpoint as well. But they did get kind of caught in no man's land there, expecting him to accept that better offer. And he told him no. And I kind of respect Devontae for it, because he stood his ground. Like, you know what? No, I'm just going to go ahead and turn the page.
You see that with a lot of players in the modern era, right? And It's not just the Packers. There's a lot of teams in the NFL that do that. They lowball veterans, or they, you know, it's not just a Green Bay thing, right, Clay? We've seen this in other organizations across the league too.
Yeah. Chris Cashwin says, there you go. Thank you for changing it back, Chris. You're the man. He said leadership allowed Ted Thompson to stay in power a little too long. You know, it depends on what you truly believe was happening behind the scenes, Chris. Like, I agree. It was so tough to see Ted's health decline, man. I was a big Ted Thompson stan. I loved Ted Thompson. I loved everything he represented. I loved how he would give players a second chance who had been in trouble before. He seemed like he had a good heart. My respect went up for him immensely when Brett Favre, after all the smoke had settled on all the, you know, the problems, and obviously Brett leaving and going to the Vikings and this and that. When Brett came into Lambeau and beat the Packers with the Vikings, he said the first person that texted him was Ted Thompson, said, "Congratulations, great game." Like that tells me everything I need to know about Ted Thompson. He's just a stand-up guy. Yes. Now, behind the scenes, Chris, it was my understanding that his staff was kind of heading everything up as a whole, as a group, right? And they didn't want to just I love the fact, Tim, that they didn't go, "Ted, buddy, it's gotten bad, you're out of here." Instead, everybody got together and was like, "Hey, we see what's happening here. Ted knows what's happening. Let's let him go out on his own terms here, and we'll all kind of."
That was so awesome.
Run his thing. Yeah,
what did they do? He was a senior football advisor or something. They gave him a position, and that was handled with class. I think I agree.
Yeah. And on the outside, it was like, this guy shouldn't be the general manager. I don't think he was truly like calling all the shots.
No, Goody probably was.
Yeah. And that's the thing. As soon as Ted retired because of the health, right, and he stepped down, what happened? Goody came in and got rid of Jordy and got rid of some of these older players. It was like, okay.
It's almost like Ted never left, right?
Right. Exactly. So that's how I remember it anyway. And I could be a little off of my memory there somewhat, but man, Ted Thompson, what an amazing human being. And I heard Wildy say this the other day, and he did specify, I got a gnat in here, it's driving me crazy. He did specify, like, he didn't know for sure, but he wondered if Ted Thompson's, you know, cognitive decline was from playing football. Because people don't know that. They look at Ted and they see the gray hair and they think, oh, yeah, this was a cheapskate, this and that. He was a dog. He played linebacker, right, in the NFL.
Yep. So you say that about Mark Murphy too, right? Hard hitting safety.
Oh, yeah. And isn't it amazing? Like that portion of the fan base, and they're a very, very loud minority in our fan base, that they talked about Ted Thompson like he was just the stupidest football mind on the face of the planet. They talk about Mark Murphy like he's this big bumbling idiot. Both of those guys played defense in the NFL when it was, I'm talking about one of the toughest eras. Like, yeah, I would love for those tough guys on the internet that dogged those guys and acted like they weren't worth a crap to be able to just take a quick time machine back to them in their prime and say that to their face, because they were men of men, right?
Absolutely.
I'm just I love, man. I absolutely love. I love this team and love everything they represent. And Ted Thompson is one of those dudes that's just seeing them be able to hoist that Lombardi after he had to make those tough decisions to move on from Brett and give Aaron this shot and just kind of stick to the plan and to see that kind of come to fruition was absolutely awesome, man. So. Focus. The moment you choose loyalty to your players over the right decision, you turn into the Vikings. Overplaying old guys, you won't get much production from. I think that's pretty well said, man. It's a cutthroat business, And listen, they get to play a kid's game for a ransom. You know what I mean? For a ton of money. But right. when old man old age comes calling,
Well, let's not forget, we talk about how brutal this game is. Even in today's era, with all the rule changes and the new technology, the better medical staffs, guys get hurt all the time, right? And you see guys that retire from this game at 30 something years old, and they've got the knees and the back of a 70-year-old man from playing football, throughout their youth and into their adulthood. So I think it's important as fans that we remember that, this sport will take a toll on you and even the greatest that have ever done it. Ultimately, Father Time catches up with everybody, right?
Yeah, no doubt. Last one here, guys. Six shot. We'll call him shot. Six shot says, I was there at Lambeau Atrium when Thompson picked Rodgers in 2005. The whole atrium booed. What a pick. Yeah, and
yeah,
I love
you got Favre who's going to take you to a Super Bowl.
I wish we
got Rodgers that's going to take you to a toilet bowl. I remember that.
We got to
get that clip back, man.
Yeah, got to. And I remember where I was at in Knoxville, Tennessee, running a carpet restoration company, and I was a young whippersnapper. And I remember listening to that draft on the radio in a little headset with AA batteries and a radio, right? So I remember that's how, yeah. And there was probably better technological advancements to listen to it, Tim, but I was
you had that little one with the little headphone jack, the little small one.
Oh, yeah. You kidding me? And once the jack wore out, you had to kind of turn it just right.
Yeah, it's kind of like a walkie-talkie. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. So, I remember when they made the pick, and as it got closer to the Packers pick, and I was screaming, draft Rodgers. Like, this is perfect. Are you kidding me? Brett's going to be, his time's coming, and have this guy learn under Brett. I was over the moon when they took him because the night before the draft, everybody expected Aaron to go to the 49ers. He was going to be the top quarterback.
I didn't expect him to be on the board when we were picking.
Awesome, man. So, Ted Thompson, man. Rest in peace, Ted. Thank you for everything you've done for this organization. My goodness.
Amen.
All right, Tim, let's get out of here. Appreciate your time, man. You got anything else you want to hit before we go?
No, just catching up. Oh, here, respect oranges. Why would you pick Love when you had Rodgers? Boo.
Yeah, there you go, right?
Same sentiment, right? I think history has proven we've done okay, right? So just relax and enjoy the show, guys, right?
Yeah, absolutely, man. And Eric Sutherland, this is why I don't play fantasy football. He says, my love for the Packers is why I suck at fantasy football. I only draft Packers. That's
Amen.
me. Yeah.
Amen.
Like, okay, which Packer makes sense in this round? And I'm wondering why I'm dead last in the standings. Yep. That's why I stopped doing it too. So, but which reminds me, Patreon group. I think we've still got a few more slots left in the second league. So cool. We filled the first league up so fast, and now we get the second league almost full. So if you guys want to be a part of our PTA Fantasy Football League, League 2, just go to patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access and let the guys know in there. Okay. And it gets $3, get you access to the site there for Patreon. You get all the extra content, all that good stuff. It also gets you entered into the giveaways, which this week we got to decide what we're giving away, Tim. We got some goodies here, man.
We got some cards.
You know what? Let's do it. He's having a hell of a camp. Let's go with the Lucas Van Ness autographed rookie card. How about that?
I love it.
All right. So there you go. That'll be the giveaway this week. And again, all you got to do is be a member of the $3 tier there on Patreon, or be a member here on YouTube. I would recommend Patreon because obviously you get more bang for your buck there. It's a way for us to give back to those who are supporting the channel. So that being said, we're out of here, guys. We'll see y'all tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. Central Time for PTA Live, where we'll give you guys all the updates. So we got open practice tomorrow, Tim?
Yes, sir. I'll be there nice and early.
All right, Tim's going to be boots on the ground at practice tomorrow, so he'll be able to give us kind of a firsthand take on what he saw at practice. I'm sure we'll get some great footage, all that good stuff. So it'll be a fun show tomorrow. So we'll see y'all then. Everybody have a wonderful night, and God bless.
Here we go.
All right.
Bye, guys.